So I made a big mistake in my Sims 4 Forever World, and in today's video I'm going to be unpacking exactly what that was, what I learned from the experience, and what I'm going to be doing in my save file going forward, in the hopes of helping you to avoid making the same mistake in your own gameplay. If you're unfamiliar, playing in a Forever World in The Sims 4 is a playstyle where you dedicate yourself to one save file, and that's it. No restarting when you get bored, or maybe like me today, a little bit overwhelmed. You work with what you've got and you end up with a much deeper, richer, and a more personalized world because of it. I started my Forever World back in the spring, and I set off by calling it an experiment because I didn't know how I'd fare with it. So far, it's been great for the most part, but what kind of a researcher would I be if I did not show you the less great side of things and show you what I learned from this mistake? But before we dive in any further, my name is Yasmin, and my mission here on the channel is to help serious simmers like you to find fun and fulfilling gameplay in your favorite life sim games. My question of the day is, if you're playing in your own Forever World, what is the #1 tip that you would give to newer simmers to set them up for success with their own Forever Worlds? Let us know in the comments down below. I guess that this video is kind of like a mini research project moment of reflection, and I hope that it shows you that even people that play The Sims on YouTube also can have a really dynamic relationship with the game and the silly little pixel people that we create within it. I'm all about playing this game with intention, and that is exactly what this video is all about, so let's dive into things. So about a month ago, I made a video where I was basically setting up a handful of households in a new area in my Sims 4 Forever World in Brindleton Bay in the little town section. And all of these characters and households were references to Twilight characters. My aim was to play with these households collectively for 100 days in game, and also post a short recapping each of the 100 days progress and sharing them with you guys one day at a time for 100 days in real life. I created these households not long after I did my 4-month Forever World update video a little while back, and at that point I was really feeling firstly so in love still with my Forever World, but also really excited to start branching out into different worlds and neighborhoods, because I, until that point, had basically exclusively been focusing on the Foundry Cove neighborhood of Willow Creek. And perhaps unsurprisingly, my inspiration to create these characters specifically had in fact been influenced by me seeing all of the TikTok girlies dropping all of their Twilight videos and reminding me that autumn and Hoa 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 season was almost upon us, and I just wanted to experience that vibe in my game. So between the live streams, the long plays, and just other miscellaneous playtime that I had with these 3 households, I think that I spent about 8 to 10 hours in this neighborhood so far. And it would have been around about by that time that I would have anticipated that I would have started feeling some sort of connection and a little bit more inspiration when it came to these sims. About a week into the challenge, I did a live stream and I guess kind of a bit of a temperature check with my audience, aka my royal court. You guys know who you are. And I just wanted to see how they were feeling about the series and these sims and, you know, the shorts daily series as well. And they suggested that it probably would have been a little bit too much for me, honestly, to be trying to post shorts every single day. I was kind of already feeling a little bit like I was spinning my wheels with it, and so they suggested, hey, why don't we just kind of switch to sort of weekly roundup shorts instead? And not long after having this chat with my community, I realized, mainly by the fact that I just didn't feel really drawn to play with these characters as I had done with others in my Forever World, that I just wasn't really feeling as inspired to play through their stories and work towards their goals as I initially thought that I was when I got things set up. The ones that I did feel super excited to play with were the Cole household, but I think that that's definitely because their sort of storyline was aligning way more with the gameplay style that I love in The Sims 4, which is anything to do with building skills and making money and running a business, which is exactly what they're all about. And I guess that I should say here that I really didn't know if I should make this video, because who would it help? And I feel like I'm looking a tiny bit silly, because you know how it is when you make an intention to do something and then you realize a little while after starting, maybe this wasn't the best idea. But again, I got a comment recently from somebody asking quite a similar question, all about the fact that they had made a sim or a household in their forever world and that they just didn't feel that inspired to play with it. And I guess that this video is kind of directly answering that. So even if it just helps one person, I'll be happy with that. But with all of that said then, why don't we iron out what mistakes I made in my forever world, or series of mistakes I probably should say. But before we get into all of that, if you found this video maybe cathartic so far, perhaps consider giving the video a quick like or even subscribing to the channel. Doing these things along with watching to the very end of the video really tells YouTube's algorithms that this video is worth showing to more serious simmers like you, so it is a huge help. The link to become a channel member is down below as well, where you can get access to perks like exclusive live streams and even the chance to put your own sim in my forever world, which I think is really cool. But anyway, enough of my spiel, let's get back to my mistakes. So firstly then, I expanded too damn fast. I can't say this hard enough. Having not just one, but 3 brand new households to focus on, in addition to all the sims that we already know and love in Willow Creek that I already had, basically brought up my total active household count between somewhere about 5 and 10, I think, which is way more than I could handle. And because I was spreading myself so thin between each household, wanting to make sure that I showed them off enough in live streams and everything, I felt like I was making no progress with anybody. Next, potentially, is the fact that I based all of these new characters off of YA novel characters, and that I was really just going off of vibes for quite a lot of it, which again was what I wanted, but let's break down why this might not have been the smartest idea. I know that a couple of you guys in the community here around the channel have let me know, which I find this fascinating, but you've let me know about how a lot of characters in YA novels, again, Twilight is what we're thinking of here, are made to be really kind of blank slates so that then you as the reader can really project yourself onto them as much as possible. And I said to you guys quite a lot that the character that I was struggling with the most was Bailey Swain, aka Bella Swan. So this really made me kind of put that connection together that, hey, maybe there's a reason why I'm especially struggling to figure out with what to do with this sim. I even, at one point, purposely deleted a fire alarm in the hopes that some spontaneous combustion and some sort of fatal accident might have occurred. So that should probably tell you something about how I was feeling about all of these sims. And lastly, I was really focusing on the stories that I wanted to tell rather than the gameplay that I wanted to explore. And I'm sure that for some of you guys, that won't sound like a mistake or an issue to be made in your game. But for me, I have been, and no matter what I do to change it, I always will be a gameplay first girly. I have to make sure that the goals that I'm chasing with my sims are related to what I intrinsically want to be experiencing in the game. And again, while I thought that a lot of areas of gameplay that I would be diving into with these sims was things that I wanted to do, again, I think that I had just spread myself too thin between all of these households and all of the different things that we were exploring that I could not be really excited to do everything with everybody, if that makes sense. Creating these sims around characters from, you know, Twilight really did kind of push me into a corner in terms of what I could explore with them as well. And I just don't think that everything translated exactly how I was hoping it would into game and into my own mind and how I was really feeling about these sims as we progressed. Again, all except for the Coles. I have been having a lot of fun with them and their werewolf antics, and the cat turf war is still giving me life, so. And again, because we are being serious researcher simmers today, what is the point of pointing out all of these mistakes if we don't then actually address what we've learned from it? So let's dive into that just now. First, I have reminded myself to not rush growth in my Sims 4 Forever world. Again, I expanded much too fast and much too much, honestly, with too many Sims all at once. And I think that if I were to start this kind of challenge series series neighborhood again, what I would do is I would start with one household, play it for a couple of weeks in game, make sure they're all established, then create a second one, get them established, get those two households kind of intermingling, and then move on to a third. So kind of essentially going exactly how I had been in my other neighborhood up until this point. And I think that rushing the kind of growth and, you know, establishing all of these sims at once really was such a kind of issue in my motivation and sense of attachment to these sims. As I'm kind of writing and filming this though, I do suppose that I could kind of change to this style now. I was talking to everybody about this on a live stream this week, and you guys actually did kind of suggest that hey, if the Cole household is the one that we're loving the most, why don't we maybe pull back from the others and kind of focus on them for now and, you know, see where we are, see where we're at in a little while. And secondly, how on earth could I have lost sight of one of my biggest maxims when it comes to playing in a forever world? And that is that should have no place in this playstyle whatsoever. I am really vehemently against having a really rigid rotational structure in your gameplay, although I know that really does help some players. But for me, if I feel like I should play with a household, nah. Why am I doing that? It's a game that I'm playing for fun. Why should have any, you know, say or in this equation whatsoever? And I really caught myself feeling like I should play with some of these households. Again, the Coles not so much, but the other two, perhaps because I just didn't really know essentially what I was doing with them, and because, you know, despite planning, and I just didn't feel super attached with them, I just felt like I should play with them, and that is never a good thing at all. And lastly, at first again, I did feel a little bit kind of sheepish, a little bit embarrassed, and kind of all of these feelings around these feelings, I guess, towards my game, which I know is silly because this is just The Sims, but gamers, we are serious simmers here on this channel. But I've had to really reckon with the fact, and I know that, you know, putting the time and effort into creating these sims, playing with them in gameplay for a little bit, and, you know, writing these really big, extensive backstories for these sims was not a waste of time. Because, again, the beauty of a forever world in The Sims 4 is that every new household, every new sim that you add is just building the levels of richness and deepness and everything like that you experience when playing in this save file. I know now that I could run into these sims, and how funny would that be that I just get to see them running around the world. So again, it's not all been for nothing, as I might have initially thought. So the final big question that I wanted to tackle in today's video, and are you proud of me? I've definitely kept things a little bit briefer than I usually do in my Forever World videos. But the last thing that I want to talk about today is what am I going to be doing from now on in my Sims 4 Forever World. So I think that predominantly I'm going to be taking a break from playing with the Sullens and the Swains, just until I get that spark of inspiration to really play with those households again. Again, I think that I will play with the Coles a little bit because I'm intrigued to see how much we can build up their little home business, aka Locus, which is going to be the local bar. But, you know, again, in a week, in a month, in a year, I might really feel like I want to play with these Sims, and I know that they're going to be there for me when I'm ready for them. And so because of this, I'm going to be rolling things back a little bit and kind of going back to my roots, I guess, and playing more with the Sims that I feel like I still have a lot of progress to make in, you know, Willow Creek. So especially Butt Pancakes and his kids, Peach and Banoffee, like we've got stuff to do with them. Cassandra and Nova, like I have a lot of things to do with these Sims, and even Foundry Cove, I've made a few changes over there recently and I have some ideas, which means that I actually have quite a lot to do in that area still, even though I felt like it was getting to a point of it being finished. But that's again the beauty of a forever world, is that nothing is ever finished, and I don't know, I just feel like it's time to kind of roll it back a little bit and kind of connect with what really, you know, inspires me in my save file at the moment. However, we have started getting, you know, a little bit more diversified in the areas that we're playing with in the forever world. I recently moved Summer out of Willow Creek, who, if you don't know, she is our ghost influencer, and she's now living in the desert in Oasis Springs, things. And we're gonna be slowly but surely building up a ghost wellness cult commune thing for her over there. And my Gen 2 sim for my very veggie challenge, Ametista, she has moved into the city. She's in San Myshuno. She's just had Gen 3 baby instantly, like within the first day of Gen 2, basically. And so baby Amber, which is spelled AAHMBRR. Very kind of almost, you know, really obnoxious celebrity name coded. Gen 3 is already born, so, you know, I've got a lot to make progress with over there. And so overall, I think that these changes are gonna really help my brain focus and, you know, make the content a little bit more streamlined for you guys and honestly for myself, because again, I felt like I'd made so little progress over the last kind of month in real life in game. You know, so I'm excited to kind of make that progress with my Sims again. Some of the more eagle-eyed among you might have noticed that this kind of potential brain fogginess has kind of translated into the content that's been coming out on the channel. There have been a few, you know, a little bit slightly fewer Forever World main videos, not so much live streams, but, you know, definitely main videos. And I think that's because I've just felt a little bit cloudy up here. And so it feels really good to have gained some clarity through this video for sure. And so with that said, guys, this is where I'm gonna leave things for today. Again, I hope that you found this helpful, if this has maybe been something that you've struggled with yourself. And again, I have to give such a big thank you to the members of my community here on the channel that have really helped me kind of work this out in my head through the last, you know, a couple of streams that we've had over the last little while. So you guys are the real ones. And I should clarify here, right, that I've used the word mistake because YouTube likes you to have a really big, dramatic, clickable word in the title and thumbnail, etc. And so I don't view this really as a mistake, more so much, again, as something that we have learnt from and observed. You know, again, we're serious simmer researchers out here, what can I say? But anyway, before we go, guys, I have to give a huge thank you to my amazing channel members. So starting off with our Tiberium level members, we have Amy M, Roberta C, Bloodied Porcelain, Lady Cilantro, and Vanagander. And of course, we have all of our amazing Soul Piece members on the screen just here as well. I know I say this in every video, but guys, your support seriously means the world, so thank you so much. Once again, my question of the day has been, what is your biggest tip that you think would set up other serious simmers for success with their own forever worlds? Let us know in the comments down below. If you want to hear me gab for a little longer, YouTube has selected the video on the screen just for you, but otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.